Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a reading for Libra rising, or if you have significant Libra placements in your chart and are needing a neutral energy to help balance masculine and feminine energies within yourself, then this reading is for you. So Libra, I'm not sure if it's picking up on camera, but someone's playing music in the background outside, so it may pick up on the mic, I'm not sure. But if it does, it's just kind of setting the scene for your reading today, is kind of how it's feeling. The overall context of your reading, we have the butterfly garden, liberty, and the home is my castle. So there's all this really interesting symbols coming in with the hair today, just in a couple of the cards in the reading, but it's kind of feeling like, especially this card, this liberty card, desiring freedom, right? Desiring freedom is kind of how it's coming through. But there's all this sort of energy of like, this card brings in sort of like a wish, having a wish or a dream, or perhaps like it's something, especially with like the hair colors as well, because it's kind of like all of the hair colors with sort of the black hair is kind of talking to me more of like a moon energy, because you do have the moon card out versus like the Miss Sunshine card, which actually comes out later as something that's like being presented to others, or like more of like a daytime versus night. So it kind of feels like there's a bit of like perhaps like desiring freedom from whatever this energy is, right? My home is my castle, because this one sometimes kind of feels like barnacles on the shell or something like that, or like there's some sort of burden. This reading has a lot of sort of imagery, a lot of messages coming through with like the movie Tangled, if you're familiar with that one, the Rapunzel story, Tangled, where it's kind of like there's something here in the My Home is My Castle card, which we will get into, just to go into some of the other cards here, because these cards here, we have the Judgment, the Moon, and the Master's Secrets, which is the Magician card, right? So this, you have 3 major arcana at the bottom of the deck, and then you have 5 major arcana in a row in your actual reading part. So I feel like there's a really powerful energy coming in, especially with this Judgment card, to like, it's feeling like a significant choice or something like that. And it may be that you're very much influenced by the moon at the moment, which is feeling to me as like how you feel, or perhaps like melancholy or emotions, like heavy emotions as well. But I feel like you are, Libra, using this energy in order to manifest something really powerful, is kind of how it's coming through. It's like because you have some sort of desire, is kind of how it's feeling, or a wish, or you're holding out. Perhaps you're like hoping for something, right? And it's kind of like that desire, that hope is allowing you to manifest something really powerful, is how that's feeling. So if we get started with the reading, the actual reading part, we're starting off here with the White Rose of Hope, which to me feels is this sort of melancholy energy, right? It's kind of like, especially with this hair here, because these cards have such a similar energy, right? It's like this one here feels like the ideal dream, or perhaps like when you're dreaming, it's like this is the ideal, but it's like this energy is perhaps like the more, but it's the same, right? It's kind of like one's like, it's really interesting, okay? Because this one here talks to me about like, there's kind of like, it's very hard to see, but it's kind of like a silhouette or like a x-ray of bones in her dress there. And so the last time I used this deck and this card came out, it was feeling like bird bones, right? Like really hollow, really light, right? And there's a bird here. So it kind of feels like there's somebody, it kind of feels like there's an influence around you, Libra, which maybe you're not aware of, because it's like they're not pictured here in the cards, But because of the energy of Tangled, the movie, where it's kind of like Rapunzel in her tower, right? There's somebody here. So perhaps this is somebody else, because I'm seeing this as being sort of like the bird, right? There's somebody perhaps who's very similar to you, right? It's almost like their energy is so similar to you that it's almost like it's you're not sure about whether or not it's their energy or it's yours. It's kind of like it's like they're so similar. They could be easily mistaken for one another. But they're very clearly different, because this one I sometimes see as being like keeping a dream hidden, right? Like keeping something hidden. And so it is coming through with Tangled, but I was thinking recently of like the difference between the movie Tangled and Finding Nemo. I know I'm going on a tangent here, but just bear with me for a second, where both those stories, if you're not familiar, right? There's a protective parent type figure, right? So it could be something like that. A parent or perhaps authority or just like an older sibling or something like that who's very protective of you, Libra. And it could be flipped in reverse. You could be the older, whatever, energy. But very similar, right? Extremely similar energies. Where it's kind of like somebody in this situation is being kept in almost like a cage or a tower or something like that, like kept hidden or secret, because perhaps this one here, whoever this one is, has some sort of gift, is kind of how it's feeling. Or if it's not gift, like, because I'm just using that word because of like Entangled, her hair had the power to heal, right? So the mother figure in that story kept her in a cage to keep her from, because like if she were to be out in the world, people would quote unquote take advantage, or like, you know, there was danger. There was a sense of danger. That's also true in Finding Nemo, right? Like the father figure wanted to keep the Nemo safe because he had like a lucky fin. There was vulnerability. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point of these two cards coming out is kind of like, I feel like Libra, maybe you're not aware of this energy or how it's affecting you because it's so similar, right? The energies are so similar, but it's kind of like there's something here of like being like it's like you're being separated from something, or it's like a bird in a cage, right? Like you're not free to fly. You're not free to move in a way that you want or towards something that you want, because here with the Miss Sunshine card coming out next, right? It's kind of like, this is sort of like when you're not, I don't know, like it's kind of like when I'm just going to keep with that story Tangled, like when she uses her ability to heal, her hair glows, right? And then this is her sort of like at rest when she's not doing anything, that kind of thing. So it's kind of like she does her work, right, in that story Tangled. So they're participating, like doing something, using her abilities, whatever. But I was really drawn to these sort of like the strings that are keeping her in place, because as I said, it's kind of like whatever this, it's kind of like being locked in place, like not being able to move because this something is keeping you in a place where it's like perhaps another person, though it doesn't have to be that, where somebody is trying to keep you in place so that you are using your gifts or abilities on them only and not on the full potential of what this could be, right? Because it's kind of like, especially with the bird bones, right? If they were to let you out of the cage, you would go flying, right? In a really positive way, like not in a way that's like you would go flying out of control. It would be more like you would soar, right? Like you would expand, you have bird bones, right? You would fly, you would succeed and do so well, but it's kind of like they're trying to keep you, perhaps trying to keep you in a cage or keep you hidden in some way, keep you in a tower, safe from the potential dangers that are out there. And it's kind of like the reason why I feel like, so if you are aware of this influence, the reason why those two stories are coming up, the Finding Nemo versus Rapunzel, the Tangled story, it's kind of like, do you know what their intentions are? Because in Finding Nemo, the intentions of the parent, the protective parent, were to keep Nemo safe from the potential dangers. The intention was very positive, even though it came from sort of this energy of like trauma and wounding, right? Like he lost his family. And so there was an overprotectiveness that came from that pain. Versus Entangled, the motivations of the mother character who doesn't matter. The mother character is that she wanted to keep the gift for herself, right? She wanted to keep this gift to herself so that nobody else could benefit from it, or that like she would be the only one who benefited from it, which obviously is not a positive intention, right? So anyways, Libra, I'm going to keep going because I don't know if you're aware of this influence or not. But we have these two cards, the Nine of Wands and the Eight of Swords, right? This Eight of Swords especially, because the Eight of Swords, like, the traditional meaning of it, it's like feeling stuck, right? Feeling like you can't move. And there is this sort of influence here that's sort of telling you, like, you have to stay in this tower, or, and it could even be just an aspect of yourself, right? Like, it could just be, like, there's nobody, perhaps, saying that you have to stay in this place, but you're not seeing a way out, perhaps, or something like that. If this Nine of Wands here, this card was talking about like having to stand your ground against some sort of challenge or adversity, right? It's like having to remain really strong in the face of whatever this challenge is. Because I feel like, Libra, as much as because I don't feel that you are like a damsel in distress or anything like that, right? That's not what I'm seeing here with the Miss Sunshine especially. It's like you are making the best out of a situation that is kind of feeling like it's not within your control, right? And I don't think that there is something about this situation feels like it's not within your control. There's something tying you down from being able to fly free, right? So there's kind of like, there's something here. It's so interesting. When I was preparing to pull your cards, I was just seeing sort of like flickers of light, right? Like the like fireflies, right? Which are present here, right? It's kind of like, but also in the story Tangled, like she had the desire to go see the lanterns, right? She asked to go see the lanterns, and the mother character was like, no, you can't. It's dangerous. You can't go out. But of course, the intention was to keep her locked away, right? So there's something here about, especially with here, the touch the sky, because this, more with the hair, right? It's like trying to control how you feel about the situation, because it's kind of feeling like this was looking to me like a painting, right? So in that story, like she occupies her time by painting her dreams basically on the wall. So it's kind of like feeling melancholy for that, but it kind of feels like what you're doing here, Libra, this sort of like painting, or like it doesn't have to be painting, it could be creation of any sort, right? It's like where you are now is not where you want to be. There's some sort of stuckness associated with the situation, whether or not that's imposed by another person, or it's just like the energetics of the situation in general, or whatever. It's like there's aspects about this situation that are not within your control, and you have to stay put is kind of how it's feeling. But it's like in the meantime, there are perhaps like, I hate using the word hobbies because that feels so like diminishing, right? It's like things that you enjoy doing, the things that you are able to do or that bring you joy or happiness or whatever. There are things that you can do here that are actually somehow a really powerful manifestational tool is kind of how it's coming through, because you have here five major arcana cards coming out next. So I'm going to go through each of them, but you have here the World card and then the Wheel of Fortune, right? So it's like the World is kind of coming through today as like having everything that you need within your space. It's like you have everything that you need in this environment in order to manifest whatever it is that you're trying to manifest or bring in or whatever. And the Wheel of Fortune card, because this is to me like it looks to me like a manifestational grid of some sort. So if you've been like maybe like creating like a ritual or some sort of like manifestational tool, whatever that is for you, in order to like change your circumstances, right? And I feel like it is working. It's kind of how it's feeling, right? It is working. But it's like it requires whatever the situation is, whatever it is that you're trying to call in to cut these cords, it like requires a really big energy to come in because you have these two major arcana. And then what you have next here, the Divine Tower, the Dream Protector, and Justice. So you have, this is the Emperor card. So the Tower, the Emperor, and Justice, which is such an incredible combination to me. So a lot of Scorpio, Pluto, Mars energy coming in here, and also Libra energy, which is your card. So it's kind of like, and also Aries, which is opposite to you. So it's kind of feeling like there's some energy here. I want to say that it's like another influence. I don't know whether or not this is going to be embodied. Like it might be that there's somebody or some opportunity coming in to try and help you to move out of whatever this tower energy is. But it kind of feels like as well that it may be causing a tower moment around you, because it's kind of like in order to free you from whatever these like ties are, it requires a tower moment. Is kind of how that's feeling. I don't think that it's your tower moment though, right? It kind of feels like it's not your tower moment. It's a tower moment in order to free you from whatever these ties are, and that it's almost like it's being formulated or it's being manifested by you by being in this energy, right? By sort of like doing the things that bring you joy and that's available to you in your space at the moment. It's manifesting this, which is really incredible. Because the next two cards that are coming out next here, you have the Night Ride and the New Directions, right? So this Night Ride is looking to me like the fireflies, right? The fireflies or the sparks of inspiration or the lanterns, right? The sort of like the lights that are pulling you or drawing you. It's like you will be able to move. Like once this tower moment comes in for whoever it is, right? Like you're freed from the tower. You're free to go and follow whatever the fireflies are for you, right? It's like that you're free to go towards this dream or manifestation or goal or whatever it is. And it's like here with the New Directions, right? Because we were talking about being really light. It's like, it's almost like after you're freed from the tower, there's perhaps this sort of period of rest or recovery, or it's like where you're not necessarily making the choices. It's kind of like there's an energy that's pushing you or carrying you out of this space is kind of how it's feeling with the New Directions, because it's like you have bird bones, Libra. You have your energy feels so light that it can fly, right? Which is what I'm seeing in this card. It's like once you're free. You can go. You can fly to wherever it is that you want, perhaps something new. But it's kind of like in the meantime, you're almost like manifesting. I don't want to say manifesting a tower moment, but it kind of feels like that, like manifesting something, some energy to cut these ties whatever that is for you, because it kind of feels like maybe you are not, because it's almost looking like a puppet master now, right? There's something about like somebody's energy. It might not be a person, right? It may be just be the energy around you or the situation around you, whatever that is. There's some sort of energy that's keeping you tied to something. But because you have also these cards as well. It's like that. So you have the Seven of Pentacles, which talks about sort of, it's really interesting because it's kind of like, I feel like you're already in the midst of this. It's already happening. There's this one scene in Tangled as well. It's like after she leaves the tower, there's this really excellent scene that depicts anxiety for me so accurately, where it's kind of like she leaves the tower and has all of this sort of joy, right? You have the Dreamer of Cups coming up after that, which is talking about sort of like just being in love with life, right? Being in love with everything that's happening, like just relishing in sort of the freedom, right? So there's that happens for her when she's out of the freedom. She's running in the grass, like swinging on trees, all of that. But then 2 seconds later, she's sort of like head down, facing into the dirt, like inconsolable because she's worried that she made the wrong decision. It's like, I should go back. Like, I should go back to that place. Like, I'll be in so much trouble, that kind of thing. So it's kind of like this, like, going back and forth between almost like states of ecstasy versus like feeling really concerned or like worried that you're making the wrong choice, when of course that's not true, right? Because this is the Seven of Pentacles, to me, always talks about like the seeds have been planted. It's kind of just like you have to wait until they bloom or they start growing. But it's like in the meantime, because there is a rainbow there, right? And this is what I feel like the moon energy is, where it's kind of like there's a rainbow, but you're focused on the moon, right? You're not focused on the light. You're focused on sort of the emotional impact of whatever this is, which is, it's totally normal and totally fair, right? It's like wherever, because it's almost like whatever these ties are, we're keeping you in a sense grounded, right? So if it's like grounded in terms of keeping you perhaps steady or like non-moving, and so suddenly if there's movement or if there's tons of freedom, it can almost feel overwhelming or something like that. So that could be something that you may be dealing with or may come up for you in the future. It's like this sort of like back and forth between like being super in love with what you're doing and where you are versus feeling like, I don't know what I'm doing here, I should go back, I should like, that kind of thing, right? So there may be sort of like this back and forth between that. But the Nine of Cups coming out last, this card always talks to me about building, that things are taking form, things are taking shape, and that there is a sort of a process or like repetition that's necessary, especially if you're trying to like almost like cure yourself from anxiety or like to like get rid of those anxious thoughts. The solution to that is just to like repeat all of this sort of like perhaps like positive mantras or like affirmations or something like that, right? Like to counter all of this sort of worry and anxiety energy, right? Because obviously being out of the tower energy is what you want, right? You want to be in love with life. You want to be like frolicking in the grass, that kind of thing. But anxiety or whatever this influence is that kept you stuck in this sort of cage energy, that has a very powerful lasting influence even when you're out of it, right? Because it's kind of like you've been conditioned, your mind has been conditioned to, it's dangerous outside, you can't leave the tower because whatever. It's like brainwashing, right? It's almost like you've been brainwashed by somebody or something or just society in general or whatever. And it can be very difficult to sort of break out of that pattern. The only solution that I found anyway is sort of repeating positive affirmations or mantras to yourself to now make this Dreamer of Cups energy, this like just in love with life kind of mentality, to make that your natural, conditioned, instinctual response, right? Because it's like that does take work. Okay, Libra, I'm gonna end it there. In the description box below, you'll find the extended, and you'll also find the link to my website if you're interested in a personal reading. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking, subscribing, or leaving a comment down below. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.